Hey guys, so I am gonna do Mexican slaw. I had this situated so that you could see the counter. So I'm gonna change that. Okay, so this is Mexican slaw, and I love slaws for a reason, because they're nutrient dense, but also because they're super simple to make, and they are also going to last a pretty long time in your refrigerator. Plus they pair really nicely like with sandwiches, say for example going to work. Then you can grab these, pack them, and they will last a long time again in the refrigerator. You can eat off of them for a week. I also like them again for the nutrient value. So cabbage is typically going to be the main ingredient in your slaw. In this recipe, the way I wrote the recipe is to use like a 16-ounce bag of slaw. And that's of course the very easiest way to do this. I don't mind chopping, so I have just plain old cabbage going on here. However, also under these circumstances where we have a lot of people sort of hoarding things at the grocery store, I couldn't really find everything, like packaged slaw, for example. But again, I don't mind chopping. So I'm just doing this with regular old cabbage. I do have a carrot in the refrigerator. I could throw a carrot in here as well. The great thing though about the packaged slaw is it also contains the red cabbage. But I happen to have some leftover broccoli slaw, so I'm just gonna include that in my slaw recipe today to give me the carrots and the extra colorful cabbage. So anyway, that is one of the other really, really awesome things that I love about slaw is that they are so adaptable. I mean, you could grate up a sweet potato in here if you wanted to. Raw beets can go in here, turnips, kohlrabi. So cabbage is not the only thing you can use, but I do like cabbage for this particular recipe because I just love that crunch. So I'm gonna stand up now and actually do the recipe. But I will be publishing this on the Eating Well with Kim Facebook page, and we're also gonna end up doing it on Eating Well with Kim at some point when we get back to taping. The reason I did this recipe for the segment is because I was talking about kidney health. And in that, I was gonna talk about reducing salt. So again, this recipe is very low in sodium, and I'm using lime juice to flavor it. And that is an excellent flavor enhancer that helps us use less salt. So anyway, thanks for joining. Hey Richard, hey Nancy. So I'm just gonna start cooking the recipe. It's not a cook recipe, it's really just an assemble recipe. So again, Nancy, hey, just for your knowledge, the way the recipe is written, it is a bag of packaged slaw mix. But I couldn't find that at the grocery store, so I'm just using regular old cabbage. So it's about a pound of cabbage or a pound bag of shredded slaw that you find at the grocery store. So you're gonna cut this up, and really to cut up slaw, it's not really a big deal. I cut it in half, and then I put the bottom flat side on my cutting board, and then I just continue to cut it or slice it thinly. And if I get it too thick, so I cut a thick piece, I am sort of OCD, I like my slaw to be thin, then I'm just gonna chop it up a little bit more this way. You could use a box grater and that would make it really, really fine, but I prefer it a little bit chunky. So I already pre-measured and pre-chopped because I figured you don't really need to see me chop that much cabbage. It's not that exciting of a video, right? So I'm just gonna dump that into the bowl. Now here's another little nutrition FYI. So there are chemicals, right, in our produce, our plant foods. And typically we call those phytochemicals, which really translates into plant chemical, okay? So there are certain chemicals in our cabbage or cruciferous vegetables, or like broccoli, that help reduce inflammation as well as help our own body's immune system, okay? So cabbage has, the end result is the sulforaphane, and I can put that online too if you need to know how to spell it. But anyway, that doesn't develop until we chop it or chew it, okay? So one of the rules of thumb with cabbage is to chop it and then let it chill. So chop and chill. So since I already pre-chopped this and it's been chilling on my counter for 10 to 20 minutes, it's already developing some of that sulforaphane, okay? So there are chemicals that are released once you chop the cabbage, and then that allows for the creation of the sulforaphane, which is what helps reduce our inflammation. So anyway, so that's like a cool little tidbit that you may or may not have wanted to know. All right, so there's my cabbage. And then for this recipe, Like I said, I had some extra leftover broccoli slaw, so I'm just gonna throw that in there too. Again, showing you just how versatile slaw recipes can be. All right, so that's done. The other thing that goes into this recipe is about a 1/4 cup of really thinly sliced red pepper. I mean, not pepper, this is red onion. So I tend to shy away a little bit from the bite of a red pepper, and when I cut into this one, it was really, really strong. So to kind of ease that, I soaked it in a little bit of cold or ice cold water. And that's gonna take the bite out of my red onion. Now, if you love that, then don't soak it in ice water. But for this one in particular, it was just a little bit pungent, I guess is the right word. So I went ahead and soaked it so I could put it in here, eat it raw, and not, you know, immediately scare people off with my onion breath. All right, so that's done. And then we're simply gonna make the dressing. So the dressing is lime juice, and I already have my salt and pepper in here. I have not finished with my lime yet. So earlier I said that I was developing this recipe to be reduced sodium. I did put a little bit of salt, but then the rest of the flavoring is simply gonna come from my lime juice. So I've got my other half of lime. It calls for 2 to 3 tablespoons of lime juice. And this particular lime is doing really well and giving me a lot of juice. So it will probably just be 1 lime for 2 to 3 tablespoons. The other thing is, if you're trying to get a lot of juice out of your limes, you want them at room temperature. So this guy was at room temperature, but let's say you had one in the refrigerator. All you have to do there is stick it in the microwave for 10 to 20 minutes. I mean, minutes. I think you would have a dried lime at that point. 10 to 20 seconds in the microwave to warm it up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish getting my lime juice. So you can see that was a pretty big dose of lime juice. And then I just need a little bit of olive oil. So when I make my recipes, I actually do measure. When I cook at home, I don't measure as much. So that was about a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And I forgot to continue building my slaw. I got excited about the dressing. So here are my jarred jalapenos. You could use fresh, but again, I do keep a jar of these guys on hand because I am not a huge fan of spicy. You've probably heard me say that before. So when I have to add something spicy, I will just simply get it out of the jar. Fresh, again, would be a little bit lower in sodium. And I'm not gonna touch it with my hands because I don't want to get jalapeno all over my hands. Normally, I would wear rubber gloves to chop up jalapenos. But guess what? I can't find rubber gloves and I am close to out, so I didn't want to use up any. So I'm gonna just throw that into my salad. And we also, I think that's it. So that's it, right? Slaw, onion, jalapeno, the dressing, which is olive oil, salt, and pepper, as well as lime juice. And that's it. And then we're gonna top it all off with a big dose of cilantro. So I wanna show you the cilantro really quick. So I do wash my cilantro off in a salad spinner. I love the salad spinner, y'all. That is, to me, one of the best kitchen gadgets. So now that it's nice and clean, I really just sort of take a few stems out like this, and I group them, and then I'm just gonna chop these up. So the recipe calls for about 1/4 cup, and I'm gonna chop up a lot of my stems as well. That's totally fine. So I'm just gonna chop my cilantro. And I am a messy cook, so please forgive that. You can see I have chopped nothing but vegetables on this board. There's cabbage remains on here, jalapeno remains on here, and I'm just chopping it all together because it all goes in the same bowl anyway. Now there is one final ingredient that goes into this recipe, and it was supposed to be frozen or fresh mango, and that really gives us a pop of flavor and color and sweetness. So guess what I couldn't find at the grocery store? Frozen mango. So I thought I had frozen mango, but my daughter makes this certain smoothie, and so we've been home from school, right? Because everybody's out of school right now, and I had no idea that she had completely finished off the frozen mango. So going back to point number 1 about slaws, is that slaws are so adaptable. So I did not have frozen mango in my freezer, but I did have frozen peaches. So I simply gave these guys a little shake in the microwave. I think I microwaved them for like 30 seconds, so they're still a little bit frozen. So I'm just gonna chop those up. I also had in my freezer pineapple. So you could totally put pineapple in this if you don't have peaches or mangoes, right? I do love it with mango. Like mango jalapeno is just like such an awesome flavor combination. But I'm pretty sure peach jalapeno is also going to be a delightful flavor combination. So again, multiple reasons I like slaw. One, they're very economical. Cabbage is super, super cheap. They're so easy to throw together. They last a really, really long time in your refrigerator. And they're very, very adaptable. So if you find a slaw recipe that you don't like one of the ingredients in there, simply take that out and put in the ingredient that you prefer. Another thing that I might add to this salad or this slaw that I haven't added is pumpkin seeds. I think that would kind of up the ante just a little bit. So anyway, I again will certainly post this recipe on Facebook. And I hope that helps you. So anyway, make some slaw, y'all. It's good. It lasts for a whole week in the fridge, and it's got some good nutrition in there for you, a little extra fiber. All right, have a great day. Thanks for watching.